My name is Merciadez, and I've been a visual artist now for about 6 years now. My medium revolves around the digital and mainly video elements of photography. My photography deals with documenting my own life and a way of creating my own voice and self-discovery. My work revolves around the process of acquiring, insight into my own character, like who have I taken after, why have I become this person. I reflect on my own character and what makes me so different to the family and the different paths that I've taken. I portray myself, or rather the relationship I have with my father about my upbringings, his critical thinking and the becomings of his shadow. So I've always been interested in the natural element of nurturer and the nurtured. I guess you could say my work is quite different as it looks at the father's perspective of raising a child, as most artists usually focus their work on their mothers. It's unusual because I feel like the father's role in raising a child is not raised upon much. So, this is also seen in the Bible where the mother and child are always betrayed. However, the father is invisible because the God is the father of all.
Over through the loop, that way you can have the knot. Then you fold your collar down and we'll do the button up. Okay, so that's the way to go to work. Jacket.
When it comes to beginning a project, I tend to treat it as if it were a blank canvas. Whatever I'm feeling at the time, I write it down. Whatever interactions I have with my father, I write it down. It's like a personal diary, and then I try to visualize it in a way where I can either reenact it or find metaphoric ways to express these situations. Most of my works are made up from situations like my father teaching me how to shave, how to tie a tie, and how to dress like a man or a grown-up, When it comes to undertaking research, I tend to look back at the situations I had with my father, helping me become who I am today. Or other than that, I read a lot of books, watch a lot of videos, articles about what does it take to be a man, or how to become an independent man or person. I really do appreciate symmetry in videos and photography. You can see me explore these elements in one of my works I did a while ago called Ties, where he taught me how to tie knots, and the setup was just right, where there was enough space, and it was centered just on the hands. It really inspired me to help render an image in my head of how I want to shoot these scenes or photographs.
Do it on that side, that's it. Bring one up, make enough so that it'll drag down, that's it. And then you wind it in, over, and to create, you need a bit more string, more rope. So let's start again. Loop it, not too much, that's it. Put it back up, just hook it with your finger underneath.
I always have problems in my work, usually by taking a step back and rethinking of my shooting process, or whatever the case may be. So to say, if it was a photo shooting issue, I'd go back to the drawing board and think of different ways that I could solve the problem, whether it's lighting or even posing. My way of thinking in these situations are both structured and abstract at times, where I'd evaluate and self-reflect on the methods I've taken at this point, as you would on a business plan. I'd look at the positives and the negatives within certain aspects of the work and how well it communicates my ideas. Usually when I do experience a certain problem, I try not to shut down and let it affect my thinking, because all it does is make me spiral down. I'd probably end up keeping this project locked away and start a new one. I'd say experimentation is a valid process for me, as I'm always pushing myself on different ways of portraying the perfect representation. I'm quite a perfectionist, so I'm always conscious of certain elements of my photography. You know, for example, I'm always trying to establish the most fluid moving image sequences. When it comes to producing work, I like to have one take or one scene without any cuts and just let it flow. An example of this was one of my works I did in 2018 called Weight on My Shoulders, where I just had one smooth bird eye view shot hovering above me as I was pulling on this weight. I had the drone follow me until I got to a certain point and walked out of the frame. I usually work at home since it also creates another connection with the work. It creates that personal factor in the work that I always try to have, but when I'm not at home, I'm usually at the studio working on bigger projects where I can concentrate and where the better equipment is usually located and I have assistants helping me. My studio is usually well organized in a certain way so that I can start newer projects whenever I have an idea. I'm always making new work that sometimes can get quite messy, but that's what assistants are for, to keep things clean and organized. But I like to edit or do work by myself sometimes because it allows me to think without any interruptions, and I don't get any influences from anyone or anywhere else, allowing me to portray the pure representation of my ideas and perspectives.
Okay, that one's working.